We're in the first week of our focus season, The Good Life. And over the next 5 weeks, we are going to be answering the question, what is the good life? During this series and in your small groups, we're going to be taking a look at 4 inadequate ways that people relate to God, thinking that it will lead to the good life. The first posture that we want to talk about is life over God. When I waited tables in Yellowstone, my boss used to tell me that he would live his life however he wanted to, and on his deathbed, he would ask God for forgiveness. Essentially, the conclusion that he had come to was, life over God is what's best for me. During our message on Sunday, we looked at Genesis and saw how this creation story was unique from all others, and that it taught that God created the universe intentionally, and that humans were not accidents, but were created to be in relationship with God and to trust in Him as their ultimate authority. We also learned from Genesis that we're distinct from the rest of creation. We are made in God's image. And lastly, we're told that God is loving and holy, a radical concept compared to the pagan gods who are conniving, sex-crazed, fickle, and usually emotionally unstable. During that same summer that I worked in Yellowstone waiting tables, I met a man who told me that he had tried to go to church but kept on getting kicked out for asking one question. And so I took the bait. "What's your question?" I asked. His response was, "Why did God not want Adam to eat the fruit from the tree of knowledge of good and evil? Doesn't He want us to know about what's good and what's evil?" And the answer to his question, and what we discussed this past Sunday, was God does want us to know good and evil, but He wants to be the source of our knowledge for good and evil. God wants us to learn from Him and to trust in Him and to be in relationship with Him. What Adam and Eve did when they ate from that tree was they said, we want to be like God. In other words, they wanted to decide for themselves what was good and what was evil. They wanted life over God. As Pastor Corey said on Sunday, it wasn't a test of loyalty. It wasn't a trap set up by God. It was the decision and freedom to choose whether they would trust in God to know what's best or to live by their own rules. The fact of the matter is, life over God isn't just for atheists. There are plenty of people who call themselves Christians, but at the end of the day, they decide for themselves how they want to live without ever thinking about God. But not just Christians by name only. Even mature Christians who are actively living for God at times find themselves living life over God. See, every time we intentionally sin, we're choosing life over God. Some of us are bold in it. Maybe we even brag about it or post our folly on social media. Others of us are good at hiding it, and still others think that God is blinded by love for us, and so He doesn't see or care about our sin. In many ways, at many times, all people find themselves struggling with a life over God posture. The question is, do we truly believe that life is good when we trust the author of life? Let's talk about it.